Most people lose the fight long before the first blow ever lands. They lose because they are caught off guard. They walk into the day expecting fairness, thankfulness, loyalty, and logic, then feel stunned when they run into envy, bitterness, manipulation, or betrayal instead. This is the first weakness you have to break. Never step into the world assuming people will act the way you hope. Step into it ready for what human beings have always been capable of. Marcus Aurelius knew this almost 2,000 years ago. Each morning, he would remind himself that he was about to meet people who were selfish, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, envious, and hard to deal with. He didn't do this because he hated people. He did it because he knew that expectation works like armor. When you expect the chance of hostility, hostility can no longer shock you. When you see envy coming, it stops feeling like a mystery. When you understand that insecurity often hides behind criticism, criticism no longer lands in your mind as fact. This is the idea of striking before the strike. Not by attacking first, but by noticing first. A manipulator relies on catching you emotionally off guard. They want to throw you off balance. They drop the comment right when you're relaxed. They question your motives while others are watching. They twist your words when you're already worn down. They bring up an old wound at the exact moment your guard is lowest. Their edge isn't usually intelligence. Their edge is timing. They know, whether they admit it or not, that a startled mind reacts before it thinks. And every reaction you can't control hands them information. Anger shows them where you're sensitive. Getting defensive shows them where you doubt yourself. Over-explaining shows them where you're afraid of being misunderstood. The moment your emotions become predictable, you become easier to control. So start differently. Study patterns before you study words. Notice what happens when someone gets ignored, contradicted, outperformed, or overlooked. Notice how they act when somebody else gets praised. Notice what they do when they can't control the conversation. These small moments reveal more than 100 polite sentences ever could. People hide their real motives when life is comfortable. Pressure is what brings them out. Envy matters most to spot because it almost never shows up openly. It usually comes disguised as concern, advice, realism, or moral high ground. Someone who can't stand your progress won't tell you to fail. They'll just plant a little doubt. They'll remind you of every possible risk. They'll ask if you've really changed. They'll hint that ambition has made you arrogant. Learn to hear the motive underneath the sentence. Don't get stuck analyzing every single word. Read the emotional direction instead. Ask yourself what this person actually wants from you. Are they after clarity or are they after your submission? Do they want things resolved or do they want a reaction? Are they chasing truth or are they chasing away into your insecurity? This is reading people on a deeper level. You're not turning paranoid. You're simply refusing to stay naive, and there's a real difference between the two. Paranoia sees enemies in every corner. Strategic awareness watches patterns, checks them against actual behavior, and prepares calmly instead of panicking. Never hand someone more power in your mind than their actions have earned, but also never give them less attention than their repeated behavior has already demanded. If someone has shown you resentment 3 separate times, don't walk into the 4th meeting pretending that history never happened. If someone uses guilt every time you set a boundary, expect the guilt before you even speak the next one. If someone turns cruel the moment they lose control, be ready for cruelty the moment control starts slipping. Prediction builds distance, and distance gives you choice. The biggest mistake is waiting until the arrow is already flying before figuring out how to defend yourself. By then, your nervous system has already taken over. Instead, rehearse the attack ahead of time. Picture the insult. Picture the accusation. Picture the attempt to humiliate you, Then decide beforehand exactly what will not move you. Decide what you refuse to explain. Decide what you refuse to defend. Decide what you will not carry back home in your head. This kind of preparation isn't fear, it's sovereignty. A soldier who studies the terrain isn't afraid of battle. A general who expects betrayal isn't weak. A ruler who already knows which gate will be tested first doesn't waste energy panicking the moment the enemy shows up there. Your mind is the fortress. Your attention is the gate. Your emotional reaction is the opening that lets others walk right in. Close that opening before they even arrive. Expect human weakness without letting it consume you. Expect envy without turning bitter. Expect manipulation without becoming obsessed with it. See clearly, prepare quietly, and hold on to your composure. A person who cannot surprise you cannot easily control you. And the moment surprise disappears, the manipulator's first weapon has already been taken out of their hands. That first layer of defense was anticipation. Now comes the harder discipline, restraint. Once you can see the attack coming, your next job isn't to fire back faster. It's to resist the urge to answer at all. Most people assume that power in a conversation belongs to whoever has the sharpest comeback, the loudest voice, or the last word. That's a childish way of understanding power. Real power usually belongs to the person who can stay still while everyone else gets swept away by emotion. When someone insults you, challenges you, mocks you, or twists your words, their real target is almost never the sentence itself. Their real target is movement. They want to shift your emotions, your tone, your posture, your focus. They want proof that they've gotten inside your head. The second you react without thinking, you hand them that proof. This is why silence can hit harder than any argument. Silence takes away the reward the attacker was counting on. It leaves their words hanging in empty air with nothing from your side to hold them up. Learn to sit inside the pause. 3 seconds can feel like forever to someone who expected instant pushback. 4 seconds can turn an insult from a weapon into something lying uselessly on the ground. Don't rush to fill that gap. Let it stretch out. Let them hear their own words without the noise of your defense drowning them out. Most manipulative people rely on rhythm. They provoke, you react, they escalate, you defend, they twist your defense, and suddenly you're stuck inside a conversation they designed from the start. Break that rhythm on the very first beat. Don't give them the next move they were counting on. Look at them calmly. Take one breath. Let the silence grow heavier than the insult itself. This isn't passivity, it's control. Someone who can't handle silence will often reveal far more than they meant to. They'll repeat themselves. They'll exaggerate. They'll start justifying their own cruelty just to squeeze a reaction out of you. That's when the hunger underneath the performance shows itself. This is where silence turns into a mirror. It reflects the aggression straight back to where it came from. The manipulator suddenly realizes the room isn't following their script anymore. Their confidence starts to crack because they can't measure what effect they're having on you. Understand this clearly. People who crave control need feedback. Your anger is feedback. Your anxiety is feedback. Your rushed explanation is feedback. Even your visible discomfort is feedback. Silence takes away the exact tool they use to measure their influence over you. Someone who expected to dominate you through provocation now has no proof the attack ever worked. They're left stuck in uncertainty, and uncertainty is poison to anyone who depends on psychological control. But silence only works when it's clean. Don't mix it with theatrical contempt, eye-rolling, smirking, or visible resentment. Those are still reactions. They still show emotional investment. Real strategic silence is colder than that. It says nothing because nothing needs proving. Your face stays composed. Your body stays still. Your breathing stays slow. You're not trying to punish them with drama. You're simply refusing to hand over your nervous system. This is the power gap, the small space between provocation and response. Most people give it away instantly. They hand it straight to whoever provokes them first. You have to claim that space every single time by delaying your reaction. You widen it every time you choose your next word instead of blurting out the first one that comes to mind. Over time, this becomes psychological armor. The insult may still reach your ears, but it no longer reaches the throne. The accusation may still enter the room, but it doesn't enter your identity. The manipulator can throw the stone, but they can't force the water to ripple. Practice this in ordinary moments. When someone interrupts you, pause. When someone makes a passive-aggressive remark, pause. When someone demands an emotional answer from you, pause. Don't rush to rescue the conversation from discomfort. Discomfort is often exactly where the truth starts to surface. Let the other person carry the full weight of what they just said. Let them face the empty space where your reaction was expected to be. Speak only when speaking actually helps your position. Say less than what your emotions are pushing you to say. A weak mind reacts just to release tension. A disciplined mind can stay inside that tension music without giving up control. This is exactly why silence scares people. It gives them nothing to hold on to. Once you learn to master the pause, the whole battlefield shifts. The attacker still has words, but now you decide whether those words carry any power. And when you own the gap between music, the strike, and your response, you own the most valuable ground music in the whole conversation. Silence creates distance between you and them. But distance by itself isn't enough. Once you've resisted the urge to defend yourself, your next step is to make the other person carry the weight of their music-own words. This is what we call the mirror effect. Most manipulators get away with it because other people keep doing their work for them. They throw music and accusation and you explain yourself. They drop music a hint and you rush to clarify. They twist your intentions and you scramble to fix music the twist. In every single case, you're the one moving while they just stand there. Flip this pattern around. Stop trying to prove yourself and make them explain themselves instead. When someone says something vague, music, harsh, or clearly meant to cut deep, don't respond to the accusation. Ask them to define what they mean. Say, help me understand what music you're getting at. Say, what exactly were you hoping to accomplish with that comment? Say, what am I supposed to take away from this? These questions look simple on the surface, but they're actually dangerous for anyone who relies on staying vague. Manipulation music grows best in fog. The manipulator wants to hint without saying it outright, accuse music without any proof, and wound you without owning it. The mirror music clears that fog away. It forces the hidden motive out into the music open. This is why you should never rush the question. Ask it calmly, then wait. Don't cushion music it with a nervous laugh. Don't jump in to save them when they start to hesitate. Let the silence that follows the question become part of the question itself. A person who felt confident while attacking often turns strangely unsure the moment they're asked to explain that attack. They might slip music into jokes. They might tell you that you're overreacting. They might claim you misunderstood them. They might try to change the subject entirely. Pay close attention to this. Their retreat music tells you something important. It shows that the original comment was made for effect, not because it was true. If the remark had real substance, they'd be able to music explain it without trouble. If the criticism came from a genuine place, they'd be able music to back it up with facts. If their intention was honest, precision wouldn't scare them. The mirror music doesn't accuse them of manipulating you. It does something far more powerful. It gives them the chance to expose themselves on their own. This is the reversal happening in real time. The person who put you on trial suddenly ends up answering the questions instead. The person who wanted to see you defensive music is now stuck defending the meaning behind their own words. Never underestimate music, how much this can throw someone off balance. Manipulators rely on momentum. They need you emotionally busy because a busy mind stops asking questions. The second you become curious instead of defensive, their grip starts to loosen. Curiosity music is colder than anger ever could be. Anger says, "You hurt me." Curiosity says, "I'm studying music you right now." That single difference changes who holds power in the conversation. But use the music mirror carefully. Don't turn every small disagreement into an interrogation. Not every clumsy sentence is secretly hiding something. The point isn't to become suspicious of every person around you. The point is you to get precise the moment someone keeps using vagueness, guilt, mockery, or twisted facts to gain an edge over you. Watch for the patterns. If someone insults you and then plays it off as a joke, ask what music made that joke necessary in the first place. If they call you selfish for setting music a boundary, ask exactly what behavior they think is selfish. If they claim everyone agrees with them, ask them who specifically they mean. If they say you always act a certain way, ask them for real, concrete examples. Exaggeration hates precision. Specificity music is poison to emotional manipulation. The more clearly you ask, the less space they have to hide behind a vague mood or atmosphere. And once they do answer, listen for more than just the words. Don't get pulled in by the surface level explanation. Notice what they're avoiding. Notice what they keep repeating. Notice which question music makes them visibly annoyed. That irritation often shows up right where the mask is pressed too tightly against the face. Someone might insist they're only worried music about you, yet get angry the moment you ask why your independence bothers them so much. They might claim all they want is honesty, yet push back against every music fact that doesn't fit their version of the story. This is where real understanding begins. The truth isn't only found in what they say, it's found in what the question forces them to reveal. Your goal here isn't to humiliate them. Humiliation only creates music, enemies, and clouds your own judgment. Your goal is to see clearly while staying free from the emotional trap. Hold the mirror steady, then simply observe. The strongest position isn't having the perfect comeback ready. It's making the other person face the logic of their own behavior while you stay completely outside the emotional snare. Once they can no longer hide behind vagueness, their whole performance starts to fall apart. And the moment the music mask begins to slip, you don't need to fight it anymore. Music need to keep holding the mirror still. Eventually, there comes a moment when even the mirror isn't needed anymore. You've already spotted the music pattern. You've already paused. You've already made the other person reveal music more than they ever meant to. And now, the most powerful move might be to remove yourself from the game entirely without ever physically leaving the room. This is neutralization. Most conflicts survive only because both people keep feeding them. One person provokes, the other resists. The first pushes harder, the second defends even more, and soon both of them are tied to the same rope, each one convinced that winning means pulling harder. Don't pull. Let go instead. The person who expected resistance will suddenly find music, nothing at all on the other end. This is why a simple response can hit harder music than the most brilliant argument. Okay, I hear you. That's one way to look at it. These phrases carry almost no emotional fuel at all. They don't submit and they don't attack either. They simply acknowledge that words were said music without buying into the hidden frame inside them. Understand this difference clearly. Acknowledging something is not the same as agreeing with it. Staying calm is not the same as surrendering. Refusing to argue is not the same as admitting defeat. Manipulative people count on you confusing these things because they need you to participate. They want you to prove that you're good, loyal, smart, fair, loving, or innocent. The second you start proving it, they become the judge, and you become the one on trial. Neutralization tears that hierarchy down completely. You stop asking permission to define who you are. You stop treating every accusation like a summons to court. Some claims simply don't deserve a defense. Some opinions don't deserve a correction. Some provocations are nothing but traps built from your own desire to be understood. Never forget this truth. The need to be understood can turn into a leash around your neck. If someone learns that confusion will trap you into 10 minutes music of explaining yourself, they've found a dependable way to control your attention. If they learn that one cold remark can make music you chase after their approval, they found yet another way. Your job now is to become a less rewarding target to manipulate. This is exactly where the empty acknowledgement becomes so useful. When someone says you're selfish because you music refuse to give in to a demand, you don't need to build a whole speech defending your character. You can simply say, I understand music. That's how you see it. When someone passes a cutting judgment on your choices, you can say, that's an interesting perspective, and then stop. Don't tack on a defense right after that sentence. Don't ruin your own strategy by explaining yourself further. The silence that follows is part of the neutralization itself. It tells the other person that their interpretation is allowed to exist without ever becoming your reality. This often makes people who rely on emotional pressure very uncomfortable. They might repeat the accusation with even more force. They might ask why you're acting so cold. They might accuse you of dodging the real issue. They might try even harder to provoke a bigger reaction. Don't mistake their escalation for strength. Escalation usually means the original tactic already failed. When a fisherman feels the hook slipping loose, he pulls harder on the line. That doesn't mean the fish should swim back toward it. Stay steady and measured. If the conversation offers something genuinely useful, take it. If it's only bait, leave that bait exactly where it is. The goal here isn't to act completely indifferent to everything around you. That just becomes another kind of weakness, a rigid mask that blocks real, honest communication. The goal is discernment. Learn which conversations are actually worth your energy and which ones exist purely to drain it. A sincere person is looking for clarity. A manipulative person is usually looking for compliance, guilt, confusion, or some emotional proof that they can still control you. Study the effect they're trying to create in you, then quietly deny them that effect without making a show of it. Don't announce that you're refusing to play their game. Announcing it just turns into another performance. Simply stop playing. The old strategists understood something important. The easiest battle to win is the one the enemy can never force you to fight in the first place. Your attention is your army. Your emotions are resources. Your time is territory. Don't waste either of them carelessly. Every pointless argument drains energy that could go toward building your own position instead. Let weaker minds wear themselves out fighting shadows. You don't have to show up in every arena where your name comes up. You don't have to correct every twisted version of events. You don't have to convince people who have already decided to misunderstand you. Sometimes the clearest show of strength is a calm acknowledgement followed by total emotional stillness. The rope drops to the ground. The tug of war ends, and the person who wanted to fight is left holding all the tension by themselves. Knowing when not to fight is one kind of victory. But there's a deeper battle you can't avoid, the fight over what's actually real. Manipulative people rarely start by attacking your boundaries head on. They start by chipping away at your trust in your own perception. They insist you're overreacting, that you got it wrong, that you're too sensitive, that the conversation never went the way you remember. They repeat their version so confidently that eventually you start questioning yourself instead of questioning them. This is how the walls come down, not through force, but through doubt. Understand this clearly. If someone can make you doubt your own memory, your own judgment, and your own emotional signals, they don't need to control every decision you make anymore. You'll start controlling yourself on their behalf. This is why the boundaries inside your mind matter even more than the ones you speak out loud. A boundary isn't just a sentence you say to someone else. It's a line inside you that decides what you'll allow to be rewritten. Build that line with care. When someone twists your words, don't chase after their version of events. Go back to what actually happened. Say, I hear you, but I see it differently. Say, let's go back to what I actually said. Say, that's not how I remember it. Then stop talking. Don't bury the boundary under 10 minutes of explaining yourself. The more you explain, the more raw material you hand a skilled manipulator to twist around. Keep it short. Stay calm when you repeat it. Your goal isn't to win agreement. Your goal is to hold your ground. The manipulator might call you stubborn. They might say you never listen. They might turn up the emotional heat. Don't mistake that pressure for proof. A louder accusation isn't a truer one. A distortion repeated 100 times still isn't reality. Think of a fortress. Its strongest walls weren't built to chase enemies across open fields. They were built to hold their ground exactly where they stood. Your inner boundary has to work the same way. Don't chase after every accusation thrown at you. Stay where you are. If you said no, remember your reasons for saying it. If you saw disrespect, don't erase it just because the person turned charming afterward. If something has happened again and again, don't let one apology rewrite the whole pattern. Memory is a strategic tool. People who benefit from confusing you will often push you to forget quickly. They'll want you to move on before anything has actually been made right. They'll call your memory bitterness, simply because your memory gets in the way of them repeating the same behavior. Never let anyone shame you for noticing a pattern. At the same time, don't swing too far the other way. A fortress isn't a prison. You still need to be able to correct yourself when the facts genuinely change. Strength isn't the same as stubbornness. If you were wrong, say so. If you misheard something, adjust your view. But make that change because the evidence calls for it, not because you're worn down by pressure. This difference matters more than almost anything else. A grounded mind can change its position without being defeated. It can listen without giving in. It can weigh someone else's perspective without losing its own center. This is the mindset worth building. Hear the other person out completely, then answer for yourself what deserves a place inside your walls. Their anger doesn't automatically belong there. Their guilt doesn't belong there either. Their version of events doesn't become your identity just because they say it with confidence. Your mind isn't open territory. Access has to be earned. Trust has to be tested. Influence has to be deserved. Once you understand this, manipulation gets much harder because the other person can no longer walk in simply by declaring themselves right. They have to bring facts. They have to respect limits. They have to meet you in reality instead of pulling you into confusion. Some people will refuse to do that. Let them. Their refusal tells you something important. Anyone who needs you disoriented in order to stay close to you isn't looking for intimacy. They're looking for access without any limits. Protect yourself from that kind of trade.